Hey, Shayna.
Hey, Shayna.
Like, I have more energy than all of you right now. It's just because I never drink caffeine anymore because I don't live like that. No, I'm not. So, steps 1, 2, and 3. I guess that's how we do this program, right? I'm like, where'd they go? Here they are. I'm just going to go through these steps and I'll let you know what I did. And I hope that, whenever I share, I hope that you can get something and take it home with you, or take it home and keep it for later, something like that. And always, I want to let everybody know that if you ever have any questions on what I say, don't ask me because I have no idea what I'm up here saying, okay? So anyway, I just pray to God and I say, God, give me the words. And it usually turns out pretty good. People tell me that. Anyway, so step 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. This is what tripped me up, seriously, the first time that I tried to get sober in 2007. I didn't want to be powerless because powerlessness to me equals weakness, equals I am, a cryy little bitch sitting in the corner and you're going to take advantage of me, and that will not happen because I will never let you get one up on me, and I am a strong, powerful woman. It does not mean that. So, when I came into the rooms for the second time, and my godsend of a sponsor said to me, no, that is not what that means. It just means like when you put a substance into your body, you no longer have control. And I was like, well, shit, that's so much easier to accept. I can totally accept that. Yep, I'll do that. I'll accept the first step. Can we go on to the next one? That was basically it. So that was super easy. But there's the second part talking about how our lives have become unmanageable. So I had to admit that too, because I thought I had this wonderful life where I sat on my throne and all of the drugs came to me and all of the people with the money came to me and they gave it to me and I would give them their drugs and I had my drugs and my life was great. Well, it turns out this is not what normal people do. So that's actually unmanageability, which I didn't know that's what that was until my sponsor said, no, that's unmanageability. And I was like, oh, all right, I got you, right. Normal people don't just do drugs all the time and have people coming in and out of their house and giving them money for drugs. And you don't do that. Okay, got it. So, all right, we moved on to the next one. First time in recovery, again, 2007. Tripped up on this one. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves. I know what that's referring to. That's referring to that God piece, and I don't do God because I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and I hate religion. My father is also Jewish, so then that leaves me just confused about religion in general. So I wasn't going to do that step either. So, screeching halt, that cancels out the first time in 2007 when I was in sobriety. So, once again, fast forward to my godsend of a sponsor. Notice I did say God, and I believe it. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves. Well, so pretty much everything is greater than me because I have no control. I just admitted that I was powerless when I put these substances into my body. So basically, everything is greater than me. All right, I'm going to admit it. I don't want to, but I do. And then here we go with the next part. Restore us to sanity. Ooh, I'm pretty insane. And, I didn't think that there's ever going to be any chance. I've just always been that way. Even, pre-drugs and alcohol. I've always been fucking Looney Tunes. So, who's going to restore me to sanity? Well, honestly, that part didn't come until later. when I started to see things much clearer after my 4th and 5th step, which we're not really talking about right now, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it, because that's where I found my higher power, was halfway through that 4th step. Now, the book will tell you that it doesn't come until much later, and some people come into this program with a power greater than themselves, or belief in a higher power, or God, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. John Lennon, some people might want to call it. So I found my higher power in the 4th step, and I want to say in 6 and 7, I truly, wholeheartedly, 100% believed in a power greater than myself. And I do believe that I have been restored to my sanity. My sanity is crazy. My sanity is always going to be a little bit crazy because that's just who I am. But the thing is that I see everything so clear now, and it's like, it's this unclouded, uninhibited mind, and I can only accredit it to my higher power because, like, everything, well, here we go. With step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. I have to be honest, I did not really do that at step 3. I did not do that until 6 and 7. I just kind of accepted it when I was doing 3, but now I completely have made that decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand Him. And that's what, like, everything is your will, not mine. All my prayers all day long is your will, not mine. Please, God, work through me and give me the words, give me the strength, give me the patience, give me whatever you want to give me to get me through this, and I will accept it, and I will take it, and I will listen, and I am just a vessel, and I will work. I'm working because you're telling me what to do. So, in order to work these steps, I had to first find that amazing sponsor that I have. And I had to, like in the book, it states on a couple occasions, faith without works is dead. Well, the working part of that is working the steps and working a program and, writing out all that fucking shit that I did not want to be writing out. Or, trying to be grateful and writing a gratuity list when I'm like, I hate everybody and I hate you for telling me to write down 3 things that I am grateful for because I can't even find a pen. I will be grateful if I could find a fucking pen, but, sometimes I just can't. But then it's like, oh, here's a bunch of colored pencils, and then it's like this beautiful rainbow, and like that's how my God works because it's extra. Like I get things extra, and it's just like I think that's why I get so like on fire when I talk about this stuff, and people are either like, so sorry if you're one of these people. So people are either like this, or people are like this. So, if you're one of these, like, I'm sorry, but this is it. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry because this is who I am. This is who I've always been. On drugs, off drugs. I am a little amped on the fucking caffeine right now. I'm going to say that. I do swear a lot, too. And it is what it is. And you know what? I'm honest. And I live this program to the fullest. And I've taken the suggestions, usually reluctantly, hesitantly, and like sometimes my sponsor is like, Shayna, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And it's like 4 months later, I'm like, well, I thought about it. But you know what? She's patient, and she's kind, and, my God knew that I needed her in my life because I wouldn't have been able to make it through this program and do the things that I do on a daily basis without any of those things. So for that, I'm grateful, and I will pass on to Ron. Thanks.
Thanks, Shayna. I'm stealing this.
Steal it.
Hi, I'm Ron. I'm a heroin addict.
Hey, Ron.
I've never heard anyone call their God extra, but if anyone has an extra God, it is Shayna. And I think that's beautiful, man, to have just a God of abundance. Like, God is extra. God gives me everything I need and more. And that's kind of the truth in my life as here, Ice Princess.
Oh, thank you.
That's been the story of my life so far, is that God gives me everything I need and more. So when I came into this program, I had tried to get sober several times before. None of them worked. I tried yoga, I tried the gym, I tried reading books about Buddhism, I tried white knuckling it, I tried drinking instead of doing dope. I tried pretty much everything you could try, except for actually working the steps. I had gone to a ton of meetings, I showed up late, I left early, I lied about the time I was sober, and I bullshitted my way through everything, and it got me exactly nothing. I've landed in a jail cell several times now. And when I hit my bottom, I was at my parents' house, and I've got a family. My mom and dad have been together for 40 years now. My older brothers and sisters are all married and super Catholic, and I am tattooed and pierced and had been to jail several times at this point, and a heroin addict. And so my really wonderful mom, who has never even smoked pot, I was laying on the couch. And I had just found out that I had failed my drug test, which I knew because I did drugs on the day of the drug test. And she came in and she just said, "Are you going to jail again?" And I just said yes. And she walked out of the room. And that was the bottom for me. That was as low as it got. There were so many horrible, horrible things I did, but that was when I had nothing left inside of me. And the little bit that might have still been there just snapped in fucking half. And so I went to jail one more time, and I went into a halfway house, and I knew, I remember getting in the van with the dude that drove the van to the halfway house, and saying, "I have to go to a meeting tonight." And he was like, "You can't go to a meeting tonight." And I was like, "What the fuck do you mean? I've never even said that with honesty before. What do you mean I can't go to a meeting tonight?" It broke me. I got to go to a meeting the next night, though. And I went to a meeting the night after that, and the night after that, and every night for the next month. I knew the one thing that I hadn't done was work the steps. I had heard people talk about them. I didn't really believe them, but I was so desperate. And, I got sober in 2011, and HA hadn't started around here, and I kind of found my place in AA. And I found my fellowship in AA, and I found young people in AA, and I found people that were actively working programs of recovery and happy and doing service and having fun and throwing conventions in AA. And I was like, oh, here's my fucking spot. It was instantaneous, man. And I got a sponsor and I started working the steps. And, something that a couple people touched on earlier was just that relief that they felt. And so by the time HA got here, I was lucky enough to be at that second or third meeting back at the A-Frame. And by the time HA got here, I had been sober for a couple of years already. And I was kind of like, yeah, I'll go, because, heroin addicts and stuff. And then I introduced myself and said, "Hi, I'm Ron, I'm a heroin addict," after years of saying, "Hi, I'm Ron, I'm an alcoholic." And it was like 100 pounds fell off my back. And I fucking love AA. I still go to AA every week. I fucking love AA, but I love HA too. Man, the relief of being able to really speak freely and, like someone else said, not self-censor, was so wonderful. And, you know, to have people in a room that, like, I knew they understood what it felt like to, like, be, like, feel like you have the worst flu in the world and you watch a Hallmark commercial and cry your fucking eyes out and, like, shake and sneeze and all that. Like, people that are alcoholics may or may not understand what that was like. And it was a welcome relief to have a room full of people who understood what that was like. So thank you guys for being here. So when I came in and I started working the steps, I didn't see myself as powerless. I sort of saw myself as powerless. I definitely didn't see myself as powerful, and I very much saw myself as the opposite of what Shayna was talking about. Like, I saw myself as the weak person that would get fucked over. I got fucked over all the time. I got beat for drugs so many times, it was fucking ridiculous, man. Like, I have wasted thousands of dollars on not getting high. So I definitely saw myself as, like, horribly weak and horribly able to be taken advantage of. But I was like, I don't know if I'm powerless over drugs, which is fucking crazy. But so I thought of being powerless over heroin or alcohol or whatever as kind of like, you know, this bottle struggling to get to my lips or this needle struggling to get into my arm and me being like, no. And, like, I sort of had that experience a bunch of times. Like, I've driven to my dealer's house crying and being like, I can't do this. But, like, I fucking pulled up and I knocked on the door and I went inside and I got the bag and I got high. Even though I was crying the whole way there, being like, I can't fucking do this anymore. So there's that kind of powerless. And then for me, there's also been, like, a more insidious powerlessness where I don't have that thought of, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, my brain flips it upside down and says, I want to do this. Like, I'm not addicted. I just want to get high. Which is, like, sort of true and sort of not. You know, there comes a point where I didn't want to get high anymore, and I would, like, kick dope. I've kicked dope hundreds and hundreds of times, and I would kick dope and I would smoke pot on the couch all weekend and, like, get really sad watching movies, and then I'd be, like, kind of in the clear. It's my first day, I'm feeling okay, and I'd be like, I just want a bag. I don't need a bag, you know, and, like, that's fucking powerlessness for me. Like, that's fucking powerlessness, is convincing myself that, like, I'm doing this by choice. Convincing myself that this time it'll be different. This time I'll only do one. This time I won't get sick. This time I won't shoot it. This time I won't end up in jail. This time I won't rob someone. Like, that's my kind of powerlessness, where I don't even realize it. My brain is fucking lying to me and telling me that this is a choice that I'm making, and it's going to be different this time. My life is still unmanageable. I own my own business. I have 2 coffee shops. I'm married. Like, I have a wonderful life, and when I try to manage it, I fuck it up. My life is still totally unmanageable when I try and manage it. When I give it over to my higher power, everything flows. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. For me, that means that I believe I can get better. That's it. I believe that I can get better, and I can't do it myself. You know, I don't know a single person that hasn't struggled with the spirituality part of a 12-step program. I, just like everyone else, had been like, I really struggled when I came in this program. I've never heard someone be like, I came in and was, like, fucking spiritual as anything right off the bat. Like, I think everyone struggles with it. I definitely did. I was raised super Catholic, like, hyper fucking Catholic, and I had really fallen away from that. I have stayed fallen away from that. It started as the rooms. They were the people that they were, like, the force. They were the power greater than myself that I believed could make me better. And then it was the universe, and then it just evolved and evolved and evolved. And it's still evolving. It's always changing. and I still believe that I can get better, and I still believe that I can't do it myself. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. That looks totally different now than it did when I first got sober. When I first got sober, step 3 meant that I was going to do the next right thing because I was really used to doing the next wrong thing. And that was as deep as I could get with that. It was like, I'm going to go to a meeting tonight when I don't want to. Or, whatever. And I mean, honestly, I guess it's kind of the same today. Today, I'm able to go a little more into depth with it. Today, I believe I'm able to, and I don't usually turn my will over. I don't give my will away. For me, it was much easier to think of it as aligning my will with that of my higher power. Turning my will over and my life over doesn't mean that I have to be this self-sacrificing martyr all the time. I believe that God wants me to have fun, So if I'm going out to do something, I can call someone in AA or an HA and, maybe a new guy and bring him along with me. I can talk to, if I go to a meeting and I run into an old friend that I haven't seen, I can say, hey, give me a call, let's catch up and get coffee. And then I can go talk to that new person instead of just immediately going to the people I already know. Because maybe they don't need as much help as the guy that just came in and is still shaking. It means being honest. I have struggled enormously with honesty through my whole sobriety. Through my whole life. Who am I kidding? But also through sobriety. A lot of people say honesty is paramount, and I think that's probably true. In my life, it hasn't meant that I need to be perfectly honest all the time. Thank God. But now, it used to be my first inclination was to lie. It not even for a reason. It's just what I did. And, I had something happen 2 weeks ago I was like, fuck yeah, step 3. I was really excited on it. Someone hit my car 2 years ago and messed up the bumper a little bit. And 2 weeks ago, some insurance company called me and said, your car was hit in a hit and run, and we're going to pay you to fix it. And the cops had they hit a line of cars, and the cops saw my car, and it was damaged on that side, and they were like, this car got hit too, so I was gonna get that insurance payoff and fix my old car. And I was like, sweet, okay. And I called them back 4 days later and was like, that's actually an old scratch, and I have to withdraw my claim. And I'm broke. So that was the craziest truth I've ever told, I feel like. I've told a ton of stuff on my 5th steps where it was this horrible shit, that I did or that happened to me or whatever. But that was telling one other person in AA or HA or whatever. And when I was able to be honest, when I could have been self-seeking, and when I was able to be honest instead of gaining for myself, that felt like the most important truth I've ever told. And to me, that's where I was able to kind of say, I know this isn't right. I want to do it. I want to get the money, but I won't feel right because it's being dishonest, and I believe that's not what my God wants for me. And do what I believe my God wants. And that was, how I was able to align my will with God's will. And that's my step 3. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a heroin addict.
Hey, Sarah.
Hi. I'm a little bit nervous about the recording, but we're just going to go with it. Okay, so my sobriety date is March 18th, 2011. it took me 22 years to do a step 1, and that wasn't for lack of trying. I tried for a few years to figure out how to control my drug use and manage my life. Turns out I can't do those things. So here I am. I just want to say, like, I'm really grateful for this program. Similar to what Ron was saying, like, when I got sober, you know, I had the choice to go to AA or to go to NA, and there was no HA, and I felt very lost in other 12-step fellowships, you know. I just felt like I had a lot of this, like, junky pride that I needed people to hear about, and, like, I needed to tell you why I'm different than you and how I don't belong here, and, like, all these types of things, right? But the truth is that, like, I just wanted someone to tell my story, you know, and I just wanted a place where I felt safe and a place that I felt like I belonged there, you know, like, to give me hope. And for that reason, I'm very grateful for HA. That being said, steps 1, 2, and 3. Step 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. So first and foremost, it says we, which implies some sort of togetherness and unity. And when I came into the rooms, I felt very alone. I did not like people. I didn't trust people. I didn't want people close to me at all, ever. So the whole idea of, like, unity and fellowship really freaked me out, and I wasn't comfortable with that. And it took me quite a long while to even, you know, be willing to ask someone to help me. You know, like, I was the type of person that sat in the back of the meeting, and I would come late to the meeting, and I would leave early from the meeting, just so, like, I wouldn't have to interact with people. Right? So we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. So I had to first, like, admit that I am like other people. We are in this together. The powerlessness for me was very clear. It was very clear to me that I am powerless over alcohol and drugs and any sort of, like, mind or mood altering substances, right? Because there was just many times throughout my drug use that I didn't understand why I couldn't stop, right? And I didn't understand why I didn't want to stop. And I didn't understand when people told me that I should stop or that I had a problem. And the whole part about, like, my life becoming unmanageable, I just thought, like, I just was under the belief that, like, life is shitty, you know, and, like, bad things happen, you know, and I never, like, made the correlation that perhaps my life was in shambles and there was so much chaos because of my drug addiction. Like, those two, like, were not adding up to me for a very long time. So when I really, like, broke down this step with my sponsor, she asked me to list 10 ways that I am powerless and 10 ways that my life is unmanageable. I was like, 10 things, that seems excessive. You know, that seems like a long list. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But then as I, started going on, I was like, oh, there's actually a lot of fucking examples, Like, I could go on and on. But she also told me to take suggestions, so I stopped at 10. So, just for, like, I literally still have that list to this day because, like, it's very helpful for me to see, like, in black and white, in my own handwriting, the person that I become when I'm under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Like, I am not that person, you know? Like, that is a direct result of my addiction. And, like, that, to me, just, like, shows me clear, like, that's the powerlessness that I don't want to go back to. That's the unmanageability that I'm just not willing to live that way anymore. So, in order to, like, be the person that I'm meant to be, you know, I have to go on to step 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So, came to believe implies that this is a process that happens over time. That was a relief to me. You know, I really wasn't crazy about the idea of a higher power. And it just was difficult for me to, like, understand or create an idea of a higher power that worked well for me. So my sponsor pretty much just explained it to me, like, you know, you don't have to do it right now, but just, like, you know, be open-minded to the fact that, like, maybe there's something greater than you. And I was like, well, that's okay, that's simple, I can do that. Something definitely greater than me, yes. Because at the time, I thought very little of myself. So I was like, easy, done, moving on. Now, restoring me to sanity, that's a whole nother fucking thing we gotta talk about, because I really was like, woo, out there crazy, you know? Type of crazy that everybody knows about. Nobody's gonna deny it. You know, the type of crazy that makes the headlines, type of crazy. So, I was like, I'm not sure if I've ever been sane. So how could I be restored to sanity? And pretty much it just, like how my sponsor explained it to me is like, you know, when you see the, like, chaos and unmanageability in step 1, right? So, like, now you believe that, like, you can overcome and change from that, right? So, like, letting go of, like, all the things in step 1 that you wrote down about yourself and your life. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I could get down with that. So, pretty much it's just, like, do I believe or am I willing to believe that, like, I can be different? I can change. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. So, I'm a pretty indecisive person, and the idea of making a decision gives me a lot of anxiety. And now we're talking about my will and my life. Like, that's a tall order. And, you know, when I think about it, it's like I gave over, you know, my will and my life to my addiction, you know, and anyone who would help me get what I wanted. And, like, you know, when I think about, like, all of the times when I was in, like, very compromised situations and, like, engaging in high-risk behavior, things that were very dangerous, and just, like, all the times when, like, it wouldn't make sense for me to get out of these situations alive. Just made me think about, like, you know, through all that stuff, like, my higher power carried me through those things, and I survived those situations, you know? So, if I just, like, let go of the illusion that I have control over my life, right? Because that's all it is like, I'm fooling myself to think that I'm in control. And the thing about step 3 is like, you know, it says made a decision, but like I feel as though I have to make that decision every day, you know, and sometimes more than once in the day, because I know for me, like when I am like carrying out my own will, you know, I'm usually not in a good place, and things usually are not going well for me. I create a lot of chaos in my life in sobriety by thinking that I know what's best for me, and by thinking that like I'm in control of situations and outcomes. So I remember asking my sponsor, like, how do I know what God's will is for me? You know, like how will I know what the answer to that is? And yeah, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, but how do I know? Which was really just an excuse that I made up to try to get out of it. But she pretty much just explained it to me as like, you know, try to do the right thing, and if you actually don't know, then like ask other people to help you. Which goes back to like the unity and the fellowship, like it's a we program, you know. And I believe that that's true for me. You know, I don't always know what my higher power wants for me, or like I don't always know what the answers are, or which choice to make, or what to say, or what to do. But I believe that my higher power gives me like guidance along the way through mentors, you know, people that I admire and look up to, who are in the program, who have experience in ways that I don't have experience, you know? So like when I seek out other women to guide me, and I admit that like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, I feel like, you know, there's just like no coincidence with like situations that arise, or like if I go to a meeting and someone's talking about something that I am going through, or, you know, one of my friends is sharing something that I have been through before, you know, it's just like, for me, that's like evidence of my higher power working in my life. And like pretty much like no matter what it is, like I know at the end of the day, like God's will for me is to stay sober and to help other people to stay sober. And like sometimes I literally just have to keep it that simple, you know, because I'm very good at complicating things and like over analyzing things, and like I just find that when I keep things like very simple is when, you know, when things work out for me. And I find too that times when I am working on my acceptance and like actually surrender to my higher power, then like everything just works out as it is supposed to, you know? Because like I can get caught up in like trying to get things to be my way and turn out the way that I want. But at the end of the day, it's like my higher power has always got my back. 100% of the time. Always. No matter what. So that's all I have to say about those steps. And there's some more that follow, so I'm saying like just keep going, you know, till you get to 12 and then do them all over again. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
I'd like to thank Shayna, Ron, and Sarah for sharing their experience, strength, and hope with us.